The planet Silo 7 was quiet, almost too quiet. The air shimmered with heat as the sun hung low in the orange sky. It had been years since humans first arrived on this alien world, and after decades of fighting, they finally found a way to live alongside its strange inhabitants. But peace never felt truly secure here. Lieutenant Alex Carter stood on the bridge of the human warship U.S. Horizon *, staring out at the endless expanse of stars. His fingers tapped nervously on the control panel in front of him. "Anything yet?" asked Commander Laura Hayes, her voice calm but firm. She leaned over another console nearby, her sharp eyes scanning rows of data. "Nothing unusual so far," Alex replied. "But we're still picking up faint energy readings near Sector 12. They don't match anything we've seen before." Laura frowned. "Keep monitoring it. If those readings are what I think they might be, we could have trouble soon." Down on the surface of Xylo 7, life went on as usual for most people. In a small settlement nestled between rocky hills, Emma Brooks worked tirelessly inside a makeshift medical tent. She adjusted her glasses and wiped sweat from her forehead as she tended to an injured local farmer. His arm was bandaged, and he winced every time she moved it slightly. "You'll be okay," Emma said softly, trying to reassure him. "Just take it easy for a few days." Outside, children played in the dusty streets, laughing and chasing each other. A group of adults gathered around a fire pit, sharing stories and roasted food. The scene looked peaceful, but Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. She glanced toward the horizon, where dark clouds were beginning to gather. Something about them didn't seem natural. Back aboard the Horizon alarms suddenly blared through the ship. Red lights flashed across the bridge, startling everyone. Alex sprang into action, his hands flying over the controls. "Commander," he shouted, "we've got movement. Whatever it is, it's heading straight for us." Laura rushed to his side, her face tense. On the main screen, a massive shape emerged from behind a distant moon. It was sleek and jagged, unlike any ship they'd encountered before. Its surface glowed faintly with an eerie blue light. "That's no scout vessel," Laura muttered under her breath. "Sound battle stations. Prepare all weapons systems." As orders echoed through the ship, Alex felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He knew this moment would define everything. Whether they lived or died depended on what happened next. Below, on the planet's surface, Emma stepped out of the medical tent just as the ground trembled beneath her feet. Looking up, she saw streaks of fire cutting through the sky. Explosions lit up the atmosphere, sending shockwaves rippling outward. "What's happening?" someone shouted nearby. Emma didn't answer. Her heart raced as she realized one thing. Whatever was coming, it wasn't friendly. And there was nowhere to hide. The alien ship loomed larger with each passing second, its jagged edges slicing through the sky like a predator closing in on its prey. Without warning, beams of blinding light shot out from its underside, striking both human and native structures below. Explosions erupted across the surface of Hilo 7, sending plumes of smoke into the air. The peaceful settlement where Emma Brooks had been working only moments ago was now chaos. People screamed and ran in all directions as fires spread rapidly. Sergeant Jake Parker crouched behind a crumbling wall, his rifle gripped tightly in his hands. His team had been sent down to protect civilians, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. The aliens didn't seem interested in negotiations. They just attacked without hesitation. "Fall back," Jake shouted over the noise. "Get the civilians to safety." Emma stumbled forward, her ears ringing from the deafening blasts. She saw a young boy collapse near the burning remains of a hut and rushed toward him despite the danger. Grabbing him by the arm, she pulled him upright and dragged him toward a group of survivors huddled behind a rocky outcrop. "Stay low," she yelled at the boy before turning back to search for others. Above them, the U.S. Horizon maneuvered desperately to avoid being hit. Captain Ryan Mitchell barked orders from the command center, his face pale with tension. "Divert power to shields. he ordered. "We can't let that thing get close enough to board us." Lieutenant Alex Carter worked furiously at his station, rerouting energy to keep the ship's defenses operational. Sweat dripped down his forehead as he watched the alien vessel dodge their counterattacks with ease. It moved unnaturally fast, almost as if it could predict their every move. "They're not just shooting randomly," Alex said aloud. "They know exactly what they're doing." On the ground, Jake's unit fired back at the enemy drone swarming overhead. One exploded midair, showering debris onto the battlefield. But for every drone destroyed, 2 more appeared to take its place. "We're losing ground," one of Jake's soldiers yelled, panic creeping into his voice. Jake gritted his teeth. He couldn't afford to lose focus. Spotting Emma helping another injured civilian, he motioned for her to join them. "You need to get out of here," he told her when she reached him. "This isn't safe. I'm not leaving these people." Emma snapped back, her eyes blazing with determination. "If you want me to go, you'll have to drag me away yourself." Jake hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. "Fine. Stay close, but don't slow us down." As the fighting intensified, Laura Hayes monitored communications aboard the Horizon *. Her expression darkened as reports came in about casualties on the surface. The aliens showed no mercy, targeting anyone and anything in their path. What disturbed her most was the lack of any clear motive. Why attack now? And why so brutally? "Commander," Alex interrupted her thoughts. "I think I found something strange about their weapons. They're organic." Laura frowned. "Organic?" "Yes," Alex replied. "It's like the energy they're using is alive somehow. We need to analyze it further." Before Laura could respond, the ship rocked violently as another blast struck their shields. Sparks flew from nearby panels, and several crew members stumbled to stay on their feet. "We can't hold out much longer," Ryan warned grimly. "We need reinforcements, or a miracle." Down below, Jake led his team and the remaining civilians toward a narrow canyon, hoping to find temporary shelter. Emma stayed right beside him, clutching a makeshift first aid kit. She glanced over her shoulder at the destruction they were leaving behind, her heart heavy with guilt and fear. "What happens if we don't make it?" she asked quietly. Jake didn't answer immediately. Finally, he said, "Then we fight until we do." The canyon provided little comfort, but it gave Jake's team a brief chance to catch their breath. The survivors huddled together in the shadows, their faces streaked with dirt and fear. Emma knelt beside an injured woman, her hands trembling as she applied pressure to a deep wound on the woman's leg. The sound of distant explosions echoed through the rocky walls, a constant reminder that the battle was far from over. Jake paced back and forth, his rifle slung over his shoulder. He checked his communicator for updates from the Horizon *, but static was all he heard. "We're on our own down here," he muttered under his breath. Back aboard the warship, Alex Carter worked feverishly in the lab with Mia Foster, a tech specialist known for her sharp mind and steady hands. They had recovered fragments of an alien drone shot down during the initial attack. Its pieces lay scattered across a table, glowing faintly with the same eerie blue light seen on the enemy ship. "There's something weird about this," Maya said, poking at a shard with a pair of tweezers. "It's not just machinery. It's alive." Alex leaned closer, squinting at the fragment. "Alive? You mean like biotech?" "Exactly," Maya replied. "Look at these patterns. They're almost like veins or nerves. This thing isn't built. It's grown." As they examined the drone further, Alex noticed strange symbols etched into its surface. They pulsed faintly, as if responding to their presence. "Can you decode those?" he asked. Mia nodded and connected the fragment to a scanner. Lines of data scrolled across the screen, jumbled and chaotic at first. But slowly fragments of information began to take shape: maps, coordinates, and what looked like historical records. "This is bad," Mia whispered after a moment. "Really bad." "What is it?" Alex pressed. "The symbols. They're talking about a fleet, a big one, and it's heading straight for Tylo 7. Meanwhile, on the surface, Emma overheard whispers among the locals. One elderly man, his face lined with age, spoke urgently to another in their native tongue. When Emma approached, they fell silent, eyeing her cautiously. "What are you saying?" she asked gently. "Do you know who these attackers are?" The old man hesitated, then sighed. "They were once our friends," he said in broken English. "Long ago, before your kind came." Emma's eyes widened. "You mean humans knew them?" "No," the man corrected her. "Before humans. They lived here long before we did. Your people drove them away." Emma felt a chill run down her spine. She turned to Jake, who was listening intently. "If what he's saying is true, this isn't just an attack. It's revenge." Jake frowned but didn't argue. Instead, he turned his attention back to the group. "We need to keep moving. If there's a bigger fleet coming, we won't last long out here." Aboard the Horizon Asterisk, Laura Hayes reviewed the decoded data with growing unease. She called Captain Ryan Mitchell to the lab, where Alex and Mia explained their findings. "These aliens weren't always hostile," Laura summarized. "Centuries ago, they thrived here until humanity's expansion pushed them out. Now they've returned, and they're not holding back." Ryan rubbed his temples, his expression grim. "So we're dealing with centuries of resentment." "Great. We need to find a way to stop them," Laura insisted. "But blasting them won't work. Not if they're willing to sacrifice everything for vengeance." As the discussion continued, Alex noticed something else in the data, a reference to ancient ruins buried deep beneath the planet's surface. According to the records, the ruins contain technology left behind by the aliens' ancestors. "What if we can use that tech against them?" Alex suggested. "It's risky," Mia warned, "but it might be our only shot." The idea sparked hope, fragile but real. Laura nodded decisively. "We'll send teams to investigate. If there's anything down there that can help us, we need to find it before it's too late." Far below, Jake led his group toward the location marked on Alex's map. Emma walked beside him, her mind racing. The weight of history pressed down on her, and she wondered if peace could ever truly exist between humans and the universe they sought to conquer. The journey to the ancient ruins was long and dangerous. Jake's group moved cautiously through the rocky terrain, their footsteps crunching softly against the dry ground. The sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving the landscape bathed in shadow. The only light came from handheld torches and the faint glow of distant fires still burning from the earlier attacks. Everyone stayed quiet, listening for any sign of the enemy. Emma kept close to Jake, clutching her medical bag tightly. Her mind raced with questions about the ruins. What would they find there? Would it really help them fight back against the aliens, or would it be another dead end? She glanced at the locals walking with them, their faces tense and weary. Some carried weapons, others held onto children or elderly relatives. They were all scared, but no one spoke a word. As they approached the ruins, the ground became uneven, littered with broken stones and strange carvings. The air felt heavier here, charged with an energy that made Emma's skin tingle. At the center of the site stood what looked like a massive doorway, half buried in the earth. Its surface was covered in intricate patterns that glowed faintly, just like the symbols on the alien drone. "This is it," Jake said, his voice low. "Let's move carefully." They entered the ruins, stepping into a vast chamber lit by glowing veins running along the walls. The room was filled with towering machines, their purpose unknown. Some hummed softly, as if alive, while others lay silent and dormant. Emma couldn't help but feel awestruck. It was clear this place hadn't been touched in centuries. "This tech, it's incredible," Mia whispered over the communicator. She and Alex were guiding the team remotely using the data they decoded. "Look for a control panel. There should be something you can activate." Jake signaled for his team to spread out and search. Emma wandered toward one of the machines, drawn by its soft glow. As she reached out to touch it, the machine suddenly flared to life, projecting holographic images into the air. The images showed scenes of the planet long ago, fields of lush greenery, skies filled with strange creatures, and cities built by the alien ancestors. They lived here, Emma murmured. This was their home. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the chamber. Red lights flashed, and the ground shook violently. Dust rained down from the ceiling as cracks appeared in the walls. "What's happening?" Jake shouted. The activation must have triggered some kind of defense system. Alex's panicked voice came through the communicator. "You need to shut it down before the whole place collapses." Emma spotted a console near the center of the room. Symbols on its surface matched those from the drone fragments. "Over here," she called, rushing toward it. Jake followed her, firing off a few shots as small drones began pouring into the chamber. "Hurry," he yelled. Emma's hands trembled as she pressed buttons on the console, trying to make sense of the alien controls. One wrong move could seal their fate. Behind her, Jake and his team fought desperately to hold off the attackers. Bullets ricocheted off metal, and sparks flew as explosions rocked the chamber. "I think I've got it," Emma cried, slamming her palm onto a large button. The alarm stopped, and the shaking ceased. The holograms flickered, then stabilized, showing a map of the surrounding area and the location of the incoming alien fleet. "We need to get this info back to the Horizon Asterisk," Jake said urgently. "Now." But as they turned to leave, the entrance collapsed, trapping them inside. Dust filled the air, and coughs echoed through the chamber. Jake clenched his fists, frustration boiling inside him. For a moment, it seemed like all hope was lost. Then Emma noticed something else on the console, a secondary system labeled with a symbol resembling a shield. She hesitated, then pressed it. A low hum filled the room, and part of the wall slid open, revealing the hidden tunnel. "There's another way out," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. Jake nodded, relief flashing across his face. "Let's move. We don't have much time." As they hurried into the tunnel, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The ruins held secrets far older than anyone realized, and not all of them might be friendly. The tunnel was narrow and dark, its walls lined with the same glowing veins that pulsed faintly in the ruins above. Jake led the way, his flashlight cutting through the shadows as the group moved cautiously forward. Behind him, Emma stayed close, her heart pounding with every step. The air grew colder the deeper they went, and a strange hum echoed around them, growing louder with each passing moment. "This doesn't feel right," one of the soldiers muttered under his breath. "It's like the place is alive." Jake didn't respond. He focused on keeping the group moving, knowing they couldn't afford to stop. The hidden passage sloped downward, twisting and turning until it opened into a massive underground chamber. In the center stood an enormous structure, a towering machine covered in alien symbols that glowed brighter as they approached. "What is this thing?" Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Emma stepped closer, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's some kind of weapon," she said after a moment. "Look at the design. It's meant to project energy outward." Mia's voice crackled over the communicator. "That matches what we saw in the data. If you can activate it, it might be powerful enough to stop the alien fleet. But how do we turn it on?" Jake pressed. Emma examined the base of the machine, finding a series of panels similar to the ones in the ruins. She hesitated, then began pressing buttons, guided by instinct and the patterns she'd seen earlier. The machine responded slowly, its glow intensifying as it powered up. "It's working," she exclaimed, relief washing over her. But before anyone could celebrate, the ground shook violently. Dust rained down from the ceiling, and the distant sound of explosions reached their ears. "They found us," Jake said grimly. He turned to his team. "Hold them off while Emma finishes activating the weapon." The soldiers took positions near the entrance of the chamber, firing into the darkness as drones and alien creatures swarmed toward them. Jake stayed close to Emma, covering her as she worked frantically to complete the sequence. "Almost there," she shouted, her fingers flying over the controls. The machine roared to life, sending waves of energy rippling outward. A holographic display appeared, showing the incoming alien fleet and targeting systems locking onto their ships. "We need to get out of here," Jake yelled as the first blasts of energy shot upward, shaking the entire chamber. Emma hesitated, her hand hovering over the final button. "If I leave now, it might not finish charging. Someone has to stay." "I'll do it," Jake said without hesitation. "You go." "No," Emma argued. "You don't know how to operate this thing. Let me stay." Before Jake could argue further, Captain Ryan Mitchell's voice came over the communicator. "We're almost in position above your location. Hold tight. We'll extract you as soon as possible." Emma nodded, her jaw set with determination. "I'll stay and make sure it works. You get the others out." Jake clenched his fists, but knew she was right. "Fine, but if you die doing this, I'm never forgiving you." Emma managed a small smile. "Deal." As the rest of the group retreated into the tunnel, Jake glanced back one last time. Emma stood alone beside the machine, her face illuminated by its pulsing light. She pressed the final button, and the chamber filled with a deafening roar as the weapon unleashed its full power. Above ground, the Horizon rocked violently as beams of energy tore through the atmosphere, striking the alien fleet. Ships exploded in bursts of fire, their advance halted. On board, Laura Hayes watched the scene unfold with a mix of awe and dread. "It's working," Alex said quietly. "But at what cost?" Far below, Emma braced herself against the machine as the chamber began to collapse. Rocks tumbled from the ceiling, and cracks spread across the walls. She closed her eyes, hoping the others had made it to safety. For the first time in her life, she felt truly at peace, even as the world around her fell apart. The weapon's energy surged upward, tearing through the sky like a storm unleashed. The alien fleet scattered as beams of light struck their ships, ripping them apart one by one. Explosions lit up the atmosphere, shaking the ground below. On board the Horizon Captain Ryan Mitchell watched in stunned silence as the once mighty armada crumbled under the assault. "It's working," Laura Hayes said, her voice trembling with disbelief. "But where are Jake and Emma?" Alex Carter stared at the monitors, his heart pounding. The underground chamber was collapsing, and there was no sign of anyone escaping. He clenched his fists tightly, guilt washing over him. "We have to go back for them." Ryan hesitated, torn between duty and survival. If they stayed any longer, the Horizon risked being caught in the weapon's destructive radius. But abandoning their people wasn't an option either. "Prepare a shuttle team," he ordered finally. "We'll get them out, even if it kills us." Meanwhile, deep beneath the surface, Emma held on to the machine as debris rained down around her. The chamber groaned under the strain, its ancient structure giving way. She knew time was running out. Her mind raced with thoughts of Jake and the others. Had they made it out alive? A sudden crash nearby snapped her back to reality. A large chunk of the ceiling had fallen, blocking part of the exit tunnel. Her communicator crackled to life. It was Jake. "Emma, are you still alive?" "I'm here," she replied, her voice shaky but steady. "The weapon is holding. You need to get everyone clear." "No way," Jake shot back. "We're coming back for you." "You can't," Emma shouted. "The place is falling apart. Just go." Before Jake could argue further, Ryan's voice cut in. "Lieutenant Parker, we're sending a shuttle to your location. Get ready to move." Emma exhaled sharply, realizing she couldn't stop them from trying to save her. With effort, she pulled herself away from the machine and staggered toward the tunnel. Every step felt heavier than the last, the air thick with dust and smoke. She coughed violently, her lungs burning. Just as she reached the blocked passage, a faint light appeared at the far end. Voices called her name. Emma. Jake shouted again, closer this time. He and two other soldiers were digging through the rubble, their faces streaked with dirt and sweat. I told you to leave me, Emma said weakly when she saw him. And I told you I'd never forgive you if you died, Jake replied, grabbing her arm to steady her. Now let's go. The group moved quickly, retracing their steps through the collapsing tunnels. Behind them, the weapon continued to fire, its power dwindling as the chamber disintegrated. They reached the surface just as the shuttle descended, its engines roaring against the chaos. Dust swirled around them as they sprinted toward it, leaping aboard moments before the ground gave way entirely. As the shuttle lifted off, Emma looked back at the ruins. A massive explosion erupted from beneath the earth, sending shockwaves rippling outward. The weapon had destroyed itself, and likely saved them all. On board the Horizon Asterisk, the crew gathered in the command center, battered but alive. Laura approached Emma, who sat quietly in a corner, staring at her hands. You did it, Laura said softly. You stopped them. Emma shook her head. I didn't do it alone. Jake joined them, his face grim. Too many didn't make it. Laura nodded, her expression heavy with grief. We'll honor them. And we'll learn from this. Humanity has a lot to answer for. Far above, the remnants of the alien fleet retreated into the void, leaving behind only silence. For now, the battle was over, but the scars would remain, etched into the hearts of those who survived. The Horizon Asterisk drifted silently in orbit around Silo 7, its battered hull a testament to the battle that had just ended. The crew worked tirelessly to repair the damage, but the mood aboard the ship was somber. Everyone moved with quiet purpose, their faces reflecting the weight of what they had lost and what they had gained. Captain Ryan Mitchell stood on the bridge, staring out at the planet below. Fires still burned in some areas, and smoke rose into the atmosphere, but the worst of the destruction was over. He turned to Commander Laura Hayes, who stood beside him, her arms crossed tightly. We did it, Ryan said finally, his voice low. But at what cost? Laura nodded slowly. Too many lives were lost, human and native alike. This isn't something we can just walk away from. Ryan sighed. No, it's not. We'll need to rebuild trust with the locals. And Earth Command. They'll want answers. They'll get them, Laura replied firmly. But not until we're ready. First, we owe it to these people to help them recover. Down in the medical bay, Emma Brooks tended to the wounded alongside other medics. Her hands were steady now, though her mind kept drifting back to the ruins and the choice she'd made. She wasn't sure if she'd done the right thing, but she knew one truth. Survival came at a price. Jake entered the room, carrying supplies for the injured. He caught her eye and gave her a small nod, a silent acknowledgement of everything they'd been through together. You okay? He asked quietly. Emma forced a smile. I will be. Jake didn't press further. Instead, he set the supplies down and joined her, helping bandage a young local girl who clutched a stuffed animal tightly. For a moment, the chaos of the past days felt distant, replaced by the simple act of caring for someone in need. In the command center, Alex Carter reviewed the data collected from the ruins. Maya Foster sat beside him, typing furiously as they pieced together the history of the alien race. What they found was both heartbreaking and humbling. A civilization once thriving, driven to extinction by humanity's relentless expansion centuries ago. The aliens' return wasn't just an attack, it was a cry for justice. We can't let this happen again, Alex said, closing the file. We have to change how we interact with other species, or history will repeat itself. Mia agreed. It starts here, with us telling the truth about what happened. As dawn broke over Silo 7, Captain Mitchell addressed the remaining coalition of humans and natives gathered in the settlement. His voice carried across the crowd, clear, and resolute. "This war has shown us the cost of ignorance and arrogance," he began. "We cannot undo the past, but we can choose a better future. Together, we will rebuild, not just our homes, but our relationships. We owe that much to those who gave everything to protect this world." The crowd listened in silence, their faces tired but hopeful. Among them, Emma stood with Jake, her gaze fixed on the horizon. The scars of the conflict would take years to heal, but there was a flicker of possibility, a chance to start anew. Later, as the sun climbed higher, Emma walked to the edge of the settlement. She looked out at the vast expanse of Tylo 7, its beauty marred but not destroyed. Somewhere deep inside, she felt a spark of determination. Humanity had made mistakes, but it could also learn. It had to. Behind her, Jake approached, holding out a canteen. "You thirsty?" Emma took it with a grateful smile. "Thanks." They stood side by side, watching the new day unfold. The road ahead would be long and difficult, but for the first time in days, they allowed themselves to believe in the possibility of peace.